Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are studying lesson number 13 and we are studying the kinds of the verbs. There are two types of verbs. Fe'lus sahi, which is the correct verb, and the other one is fe'lul mutal, which is the defective verb. So the fe'lus sahi we studied in the last session. We studied that there are three kinds of fe'lus sahi is of three kinds. Number one is sahihul mahmuz. This is the verb that has hamza in one of its root letters. Like we have example number one here. Like akhaza is the first root letter is hamza. Sa'ala, second one is hamza. Akala, first one is hamza. Jaa, third one is hamza. Amara, first one is hamza. Akhaza, first one is hamza. So that is the first kind, and this is the group of the verbs in number one we just have seen. And the second one is as-sahihul mudhaf. This is the verb that has a second and third root, same second and third root letter, and that we have seen in example number 2, like kassa yakusu. Saad is double. Shakka, so shakka is kaf and is on second and third root letter. Marra, same, is actually mim ra, so ra is doubling here. Second and third root letter is ra. Sarra, dalla, so this is the example of sahihul mudaf. And anything else that does not have a hamza and does not have any doubling, then that is the third kind, which is sahihul salim. And sahihul salim, these are the verbs like nasara, is the kind that does not have any hamza or any doubling, and we have already studied those in the lesson number 3. The second kind is, so this is the first one, let's say. The second one is mahmuz. So mahmuz now is divided into two further kinds. Mahmuzul fa, where the first radical has hamza, like akala, akhaza, amara. So that's the first kind. And we said that the conjugation of this is same as the Sahih Salim, same as Sahih Salim, like I have examples Nasara or past tense or Yansuru. So the conjugation is same. The only difference is when it comes to Ana, the two Hamza, they get together to make it Akulu. So this is, it should be like this. Akulu, but in writing it's written as Akulu. So that is the only difference here. And then the second kind was, so the first kind mahmuz, the first kind is mahmuzul fa, where the first radical is hamza, and then the second one is mahmuzul ain, where the ain kalama or the second radical is hamza, like sa'ala. And in this case we said that the conjugation of this is same as the fi'l salim, so there is no problem. And then mahmuzul lam, where the lam kalma is hamza, like bada, kara'a. And in this case we said that that the writing is just the writing is different, where the hamza is involved. Yakunu mislu Sahih Salim, fi'l madi and mudare is the same as Sahih Salim, but it's only sometime fi kitabatil hamza, in the writing of hamza, and that we will study some other times. And then the mudaf, the third group is the doubling, where the second and third radical is doubling, like marra, shamma, ranna, madda. And for that in the conjugation when the verb becomes mabni ala sukoon, like here, for ana, nahnu, anta, anti, antuma, antum, antunna, hunna, in all those cases the doubling is broken, like so. Then because originally for huwa was marra and for ana is marartu, so that the doubling is broken and then the two radicals are shown separately. The reason is if you combine, if you put if you don't break it and you put sukoon on a combined one, then the two the sukoon on the two letters, then you can't pronunciate. La yumkinu an tantika sukunaini ma. So when there's two sukoons, you can't pronunciate. So that is why you break it, and the third one gets a sukoon. Like marartu, mararna, nahnu mararna, anta mararta, anti mararti, antuma marartuma, antum marartum, antunna marartunna. Same here, tamrurna, yamrurna. So that was the Fe'lu Sahi. Now we study Anwaul Fe'lil Mutalli, the kinds of the defective verbs. So we studied the affective verbs that does not have any defective root letter, like waw, ya or alif, but Fe'lul Mutalli is the one that has those defective or problematic letters. Which is called harful illa. وهو الذي يكون حرف الإلا هو حرف الأول من حروف جزره. So the first of this kind is Fe'lul Misal. This Fe'lul Misal, in the first letter, first root letter has the harful illa, where like we will see alif, hamza or ya. And the first of its kind is Masalul Wawi. وهو الذي يكون الحرف الأول من حروف الجزر وهو حرف واو. So in the Fe'lul Misal, if the root letter, so Fe'lul Misal is the one where we have the first letter, one of the three root letters, like alif, hamza or ya. But if the first root letter is waw, so then is called Masalul Wawi. وهو الذي يكون الحرف الأول من حروف الجزر وهو حرف واو. An example of this fail is like wada'a, wasala, wajada, walada. So we see that the first root letter is the defective letter, like in this case is waw here, and that is why is called Misalul Wawi. So Fe'lul Misal is where the first letter is defective or the harful illa, and if the first one is waw, then is called Misalul Wawi. And the conjugation of so for example wasala, so here is the conjugation of this verb. Huwa wasala, huma wasala, hum wasalu. I'm just starting from the third person first. Huwa wasala, huma wasala, hum wasalu. Hiya wasalat, huma wasalata, hunna wasalna. And then the second one, anta wasalta, antuma wasaltuma, antum wasaltum, anti wasalti, antuma wasaltuma, antunna wasaltunna, ana wasaltu, nahnu wasalna. So that was the past tense. And wasala yasilu, so for third person, huwa yasilu, huma yasilani, hum yasiluna, hiya tasilu, huma tasilani, hunna yasilna. Then the second person, anta tasilu, antuma tasilani, antum tasiluna, anti tasilina, antuma tasilani, antunna tasilna, ana asilu, nahnu nasilnu. First person. So yakunul misalul wawi fil madi misla sahi salim bidunil mushkila. So in other words, that the madi is, we are conjugating same way as sahi salim, as we have seen for the case of nasara. and for the fail mudare يكون الفعل المثال البابي في الفعل المضارع بدون الواو مع كل ضمائر. So the only change which is happening in the case of is the on the fail on the mudare side where we don't see the third radical بدون الواو. Not the third radical, the first radical, like this is the wasala, waw, sad and lam, and this whole group we don't see al waw. For example, huwa wasala, here you see the fi'l mudari is yasilu, so we see sad, we see lam, ya is harf mudari, so we don't see waw. The first radical is not here, so is not mentioned. So that is in the whole group, so we don't see waw here. So if we do the conjugation starting from third person, huwa yasilu without waw, huma yasilani without waw first as the first radical, hum yasiluna without waw, hiya tasilu, huma tasilani, hunna yasilna, and then anta tasilu, antuma tasilani, antum tasiluna, anti tasilina, antuma tasilani, antunna tasilna, ana asilu, nahnu nasilu. So we don't see any waw as the first radical in the fail mudari. So that is the only difference. Yakunul fail musalba with ma kulli dhamair, with all the pronouns. So there was the misalul wawi where the first letter has a harf of illa, and that is waw. And if the second misalul yai, so here the if the illa, harf of illa is ya, then it is the second group is called misalul yai. Wa huwa al-fi'lu allazi yakunu harful awwalu min al-jizri huwa harful ya. So this is the verb that is becomes where the harful awwal in the root letters is harful ya, and the example is like yaisa. So you see the first letter is ya. وهو من الأفعال القليلة في اللغة العربية, and there are few verbs in the Arabic language of this kind. ولذلك لن ندرسه في هذه السنة, and therefore we will not study it this year. Okay, so we completed the first kind, which is failul masal, where the first radical has the illa. If it is the illa is waw, then is misalul wawi. Is the illa is that illa is ya, then is masalul yai. Okay, so that was the first kind. The second kind of fail mutal is called failul ajwaf. Huwa al-fi'lu allazi yakunu harful illa fihi harfus sani. So here, if the second letter has that one of the haruful illa, then it becomes failul ajwaf. Like kala, where the middle letter is alif, and sara, where the middle letter is alif. Although alif is not any root letter, but this is how it is written. Actually, kala is kabala, kaf, waw and lam. Here the middle is waw, and the sara is actually the root letters are sayara. There is no verb in Arabic where is the alif is the root letter, but is written with alif. Wahal huwa ma alfi fil madi daiman, and is that written with the alif in the fail madi in the past tense always? Naam, yes. So for in this kind the past tense will always have alif, but actually is going to be either waw or ya. Walakinnal fail kala mudarihi yakulu. Yes, but the fail kala, its fail mudari is kala yakulu, and we see that waw here. So that is why we're saying that actually the root letter is waw, which comes out in the case of fail mudare. And for Sara, the fail mudare is yasiru, so that means the second letter is not alif, is actually ya, but is written like Sara, and it comes out in the case of fail mudare. And in this kind fail al-ajwaf, we have examples like kana, kala, zara, ada, asha, sara, khafa, nama, kama. So these all of the same the kind of al-fail al-ajwaf. Now take the first example like kala and do the conjugation. So starting from the third person, huwa kala, huma kala, hum kalu, hiya kalat, huma kalata, feminine, hunna kulna. And from here it becomes easy. So then go to the second person, anta kulta, anti kulti, antuma kultuma, antum kultum, antunna kultunna, ana kultu, nahnu kulna. So then the flow follows. So is easy to remember or memorize, starting from the third person verbs, and then from kulna, then you go to second, anta kulta, antuma kultuma, antum kultum, anti kulti, antuma kultuma, antunna kultunna, ana kultu, nahnu kulna. And similarly for present tense, kala changes to yakulu, huwa yakulu, huma yakulani, hum yakuluna, hiya takulu, huma takulani, hunna yakulna. And then from the second person, anta takulu, antuma takulani, antum takuluna, anti takulina, antuma takulani, antunna takulna, ana akulu, nahnu nakulu. So what changes are happening here? Here we have another example for Sara, because kala was actually with the waw. So we have another example here for conjugation, Sara. So let's start from third person, huwa Sara, huma Sara, hum Saru, hiya Sarat, huma Sarata, hunna Sirna. Second person, anta Sirta, antuma Sirtuma, antum Sirtum, anti Sirti, antuma Sirtuma, antunna Sirtunna, ana Sirtu, nahnu Sirna. And for the present tense, huwa yasiru, huma yasirani, hum yasiruna, hiya tasiru, huma tasirani, hunna yasirna, anta tasiru, antuma tasirani, antum tasiruna, anti tasirina, antuma tasirani, antunna tasirna, ana asiru, nahnu nasiru. So basically they both are from the same group, but we have seen here that in the case of kala, when it comes to here hunna, then it changes to kala, it changes to kulna. I mean just pay attention on this dhamma here, kulna, and then kulta, kultuma, kultum, kulti, kultuma, kultunna, kultu, kulna. So we see that dhamma sign here. But in this case, which is same group Sara, we don't see dhamma here, we see kasra. So from here it changes to sirna, and then sirta, sirtuma, sirtum, sirti, sirtuma, sirtunna, sirtu, sirna. So the first one is kasra. Why is that? Because in this case, in the case of kala, actually in the fail mudare, the kaf has a dhamma. So that is why for these cases where we have the past tense mabni ala sukun, then kaf changes to ku, like fail mudare, ku. And in this case is Sara yasiru. So seen here is has a kasra in the fail mudare, and that is why where in the case of fail madi with the mabni ala sukun, where the all the forms with the sukun, then seen changes to kasra, sirna, like here, all these examples. So this is explained here. Mushkilatul fail al ajwi fil madi wa fil mudare indama yakunu mabniyan ala sukun. So the problem with the fail ajwaf in the past and in the present tense is when it becomes mabni ala sukun, like I have highlighted here. فنحذف حرف الإلا. Okay, the problem is when it becomes sukun, then harful illa is omitted. So that is the first case. Like here, kala yakulu. So we don't say the waw here, which is the root letter here, kala, or we don't see the alif here, like kala yakulu. So we see here kala alif we can see here, but in those cases when the fail madi is mabni ala sukun, then the alif is omitted. Same here. Similarly for Sara, we don't see alif here, we don't see alif here. So that is the first changes that is happening here. And the second that I just mentioned, harf allazi qablu harful illa yakhuzu damma or kasra. So the first one is either damma or kasra, depending on the root, like I have mentioned in the present tense. So here is an example. Kala ma'ad damir ana takunu biduni harfil illa. So if we take kala with ana, then it is without harful illa, which we know because it's mabni ala sukun. So is the case of kultu. There is no alif here, which is part of kala. Wa harf allazi qabluhu harful kaf ma harakatil madare damma fayakunu fe'lu kultu. So I already explained it. The author is saying the same thing. So I mean, he's saying there is no harful illa, and then is kultu, is damma, which we know why. And in the case of Sara, ma damir nahnu takunu biduni harfil illa. Wa here harfu allazi qabluhu harfu sini ma harakatul madare kasra. So here the is kasra. So in the case here was kultu, and in the case here is sirtu or sirna. So is damma or kasra. Fayakunu harfu sin ma harakatul madare kasra fayakunu fail sirna. So I mean, this is just the example that I have just explained. Another kind of the verb which is I mean failul ajwaf, where the middle letter is defective. So this one is slightly different. And nama, these two verbs, nama khafa yakhruju hazanil failani and qaidatul fail ajwaf. These two verbs are part of the same group, fail ajwaf, and they are both failani ajwafani ajwaf verbs. Walakinna, but harful awwalu minhuma yakunu maksuran indama yakunul fail mabni ala sukun. Fail mudare yabki alif wala yakunani ma alif wa alwaw or alya. So these two verbs are they conjugate slightly differently. Like here we said, the first, in the case of the past tense, where the fail with the mabni ala sukun, it changes to kasra or damma, depending on the present tense. But in the case of nama or khafa, harful awwalu minhuma yakunu maksurun indama yakunu fi mabni ala sukun. So is not taking the kasra when is mabni ala sukun, and fil mudari yabki alif la yakunani ma al waw or al yaw, and in the mudari the alif remains ma al waw and al ya. So in this case, like for nama, let's conjugate nama. Huwa nama, huma nama, hum namu, hiya namat, huma namata, hunna nimna. So this is nimna, while the fail mudari has yanamu, has a fatha on noon but is still taking kasra. Nimna, then nimta, nimtuma, nimtum, nimti, nimtuma, nimtunna, nimtu, nimna. So then the kasra that follows. So then is the first when the fail mabni ala sukoon, then is taking kasra. And in the fail mudare, the alif la yakunani ma waw and ya. And in the fail mudare, the alif remains. Like for example, nama yanamu, alif is here. Huwa yanamu, huma yanamani, hum yanamuna, hiya tanamu, huma tanamani, hunna yanamna. Anta tanamu, antuma tanamani, antum tanamuna. Anti tanamu, anti tanamina, antuma tanamani, antunna tanamna, ana anamu, nahnu nanamu. And we see that the alif is staying here, which was not the case here. It was being replaced by ya or waw here. Like the alif, like kala yakulu. Kala yakulu, the alif is replaced in the present tense with waw, and sara yasiru, alif is replaced with ya. But in these two examples, it is not changing, like nama or khafa, so it's slightly different, but it's part of fail ajwaf. And the third group is failu naqis, where the third radical has that illa, harful illa. Huwallazi yakunu harful illa fihi huwa harfus salisu min harufil jizri. So when the third root letter has one of the haruful illa, then it becomes fail naqis. Wa huwa nawani, and these are of two kinds. Naqis al-wawi. The first kind is naqis al-wawi. Huwallazi yakunu fihi harfus salis min jizri huwa harful waw. So when the harful illa is waw as the third radical, then it's called naqisul wawi. Wa min al-fa'il hazir now fi nasi, and the example is like da'a, raja. So here actually is waw, da'a yadu, which we can see in fail madare, and raja yarja. So that is why it's called naqisul wawi. So for the case of da'a, if we can conjugate it like this: huwa da'a, huma da'awa, hum da'u, hiya da'at, huma da'ata, hunna da'auna, ana da'autu, anta da'autu, antuma da'autuma, antum da'autum, anti da'uti, antuma da'autuma, antunna da'autunna, ana da'autu, nahnu da'una. And for the fail mudare, da'a yad'u, huwa yad'u, huma yad'uhani, hum yad'una, hiya tad'u, huma tad'uani, hunna yad'una, anta tad'u, antuma tad'uani, antum tad'una, anti tad'ina, antuma tad'uani, antunna tad'una, ana ad'u, nahnu nad'u. So what is happening here? In the case of fail madi, ma damair hiya here, huma for muannas here, and for whom nahzifu harful illa, the harful illa is omitted. Like we see harful illa is actually is waw, because it's naqisul wawi. Is here waw, here is the third radical is waw. We see here with all the pronouns, all the form of the verb, except we don't see here for hiya, there is no waw. For huma there is no waw, and for whom there is no waw. This waw is for plural. Ma damairul ukhra yakunu bidul al mushkila, there is no difficulty for the other pronouns. And in the case of mudare, nahzifu harfil fa damair. So similarly in the case of mudare, the harful illa is omitted for anti, antum, hum, which we can see here. For anti tad'ina, there is no waw, like we see here. Huwa yad'u, waw, tad'u, adu, nadu, yad'uwani, tad'uwani. So we don't see waw in these three cases: anti, antum, and hum. So that was the first kind of fail naqis. The second kind is So was naqisul wawi, where the third radical is weak and is waw, and if the third radical is weak and ya, then it's called naqisul yai. Wa huwa allazi yakunu al harfu salisu min jizri harfu ya, and this is when the harfu salih, the third root letter is yaw. Walahu walahu salasatu ashkalin, and it has three shapes, three kinds. So it, I mean, although it's naqsul yai, but is of three shapes. So first one is like we can see masha yamshi, and the third radical is ya, that is why it's called naqsul yai, and we can see here yamshi. So masha yamshi, let's conjugate here. Huwa masha, huma mashaya, huwa masha, huma mashaya, hum mashaw, hiya mashat, huma mashata, hunna mashaina, and then from mashaina is easy. Anta mashaita, antuma mashaituma, antum mashaitum, anti mashaiti, antuma mashaituma, antunna mashaitunna, ana mashaitu, nahnu mashaina. So that was the past tense. For present tense, huwa yamshi, huma yamshiyani, hum yamshuna, hiya tamshi, huma tamshiyani, hunna yamshina, ana anta tamshi, antuma tamshiyani, antum tamshuna, anti tamshina, antuma tamshiyani, antunna tamshina, ana amshi, nahnu namshi. So what is happening here? Ma damair hiya, huma feminine, and hum al ya is omitted. So we know that the here harful illa was ya, and but this ya is omitted in these three cases, hiya, huma and hum. Like you see ya with all these examples, masha, mashaitunna, you see the ya here, but for these three the ya is omitted. Hiya mashat, there is no ya. Huma for feminine, mashata, there is no ya. Hum mashaw, it should be like mashayu, but it's not, ya is omitted, mashaw. Similarly, fail mudare, nakhzifu harful illa ma damair. So similarly, the harful illa, which is ya, in this case is omitted for anti, antum and hum. It should be tamshina, but is the one is omitted, tam becomes tamshina. Here is tamshayuna, but ya is omitted, so it's tamshuna. And hum is similarly yamshuyuna, where ya is, because it seems like it's for difficulty, so it just changes to yamshuna. So the harful illa is omitted, and that was one first group, masha yamshi, and the second one is nasiya yansa, to forget. So third letter is ya here again. So let's conjugate. Huwa nasiya, huma nasiya, hum nasu, hiya nasiyat, huma nasiyata, hunna nasina, and then is simple. Anta nasita, antuma nasituma, antum nasitum, anti nasiti, antuma nasituma, antunna nasitunna, ana nasitu, nahnu nasina. And for the present tense, huwa yansa, huma yansayani, hum yansauna, hiya tansa, huma tansayani, hunna yansaina, anta tansa, antuma tansayani, antum tansauna, anti tansaina, antuma tansayani, antunna tansaina, ana ansa, nahnu nansa. So what is happening here in the case of Madi past tense, ma dhamir hum, harful illa is omitted. So we see harful illa, which is ya, and we can see ya with all these with everyone else, all the pronouns except for hum. There is the no ya here. And for fail mudare, this is omitted, harful illa is omitted, ma damair, anti, antum, hum. Like in these three cases, anti, there is no ya, antum, there is no ya, hum, there is no ya. So that is the only difference in this group, nasiya yansa and masha yamshi. And the third one is sa'a yasa, sa'a yasa. So we see that the third radical is ya. So what is happening here? Let's do the conjugation. Huwa sa'a, huma sa'ya, hum sa'u, hiya sa'at, huma sa'ata, hunna sa'ina, and then anta saita, antuma saituma, antum saitum, anti saiti, antuma saituma, antunna saitunna, ana saitu, nahnu saina. Similarly for the present tense, huwa yas'a, huma yas'ayani, hum yas'auna, hiya tas'a, huma tas'ayani, hunna yas'aina, anta tas'a, antuma tas'ayani, antum tas'auna, anti tas'ina, antuma tas'ayani, antunna tas'aina, ana asa, nahnu nasa. So fail madi is mislu masha yamshi, fail mudare is mislu nasiya yansa. So in other words, fail mudare acts as the same way like masha yamsha, which we studied here. Masha yamsha, and then fail mudare it is same as nasiya yansa, is same as nasiya yansa. So in other words, for masha yamshi, the weak letter was omitted for hiya, huma and hum. So for hiya we don't see here, I have not marked. So we don't see here and we don't see here. So here and here. Okay, so this is the fail madi works as masha yamshi and fail mudari as nasiya yansa. So fail madi is like here, like this, masha, and the fail mudari is like nasiya yansa, which we have seen here. These three, in these three cases, the illa, the harful illa is omitted. Okay, so that is all for about the affective and the defective verb. So these were the kinds. The affective we studied last time. So this is all about the defective verbs and their further subdivisions. I'm going to stop here now, and in the next session, inshallah, we will study the main lesson, which is min hakayat Juha, from the stories of Juha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.